Actually, I'm really not going to talk about the Catholic worker, but I want to talk more about you. Now, tonight, Terry and Barbara have both given you ideas on what you can do as a peacemaker. And we talked about demonstrations and leafleting. Some of you know about civil disobedience. And there are very many forms that peacemaking can take. Now, the Plowshares 8 is part of the taking it to the street tradition of peacemaking in a very real way. What they do is very concrete. It's very physical. The pounding of those warheads was a very physical act. But I think there's also another way that we can take peacemaking to the streets, and that's by searching the streets for its victims. Now, usually when we talk about the victims of the arms race, we talk about along the lines of money, and that's a lot of what Terry addressed tonight. We talk about how might the tax money that's being spent currently on the military budget be spent otherwise, for social programs, for schools, for mental health facilities, for food stamps. And this is a really important way of looking at the problem, and it's a really valid argument. But I think that it goes deeper than that, because I think that peacemakers are not only just against the arms race, we're not just against something, but we're also for something. We're for life. We're for keeping it. We're for nurturing it. And that nurturing it can be something emotional. It can be food. It can be air. It can be clothing. It can be shelter. Now, sometimes I'm bothered in peacemaking settings, because often we sing about preserving the earth for our children, but many of us don't have any children. Or we talk about how the arms race hurts the poor, but we don't know anyone that's poor. It's as if we're like someone who does cancer research who's never seen anyone die. So what I want to talk to you about tonight is hospitality. And I want to challenge you to look at your community, to look at your town, and see what are some of the needs there that aren't being met by government programs, or what are some of the things that just aren't being done. It might be something with the elderly. It might be something with a daycare that should be set up. There are just many needs. Now, I could tell you about the New York situation. I could tell you about what happens to the Catholic worker, what the needs of New York are. But what I ask of you is to look where you are, look where you're living, and what can be done there. And then be creative in response to that in some way, on some level. Now, I believe, along with the Plowshares 8, that we are to beat swords into plowshares. And in the action of the Plowshares 8, they show us in a very concrete way what we are against. We are against the arms race. We are against nuclear war. But I'd like to ask you, I'd like to urge you to make just as concrete, with your own flesh sometimes, with your own body, what it is that we're for. So I just ask you to look to the needs of your own community and to see that peacemaking can take the form of hospitality as well as the form of other types of witness and leafleting and all the things that have already been mentioned tonight. But to think about what else you can do with your body and with your soul and with your mind to be a peacemaker in this world. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Judy Gorman-Jacobs.